A medieval home was supposed to be a place of safety, a shelter from cold winds, rain, wild animals, and the dangers of the street. But for most people in the Middle Ages, the home itself was one of the most dangerous places they would ever inhabit. Inside those dark, cramped walls, death waited quietly and patiently. Not as a sudden shock, but as a constant presence woven into everyday life. Every day, medieval people lived surrounded by invisible threats that could kill them slowly, painfully, or without warning, often without anyone understanding why. Medieval houses were small, crowded, and crudely constructed. Most were built from wood, mud, straw, clay, and animal dung. Floors were often bare earth, absorbing moisture, waste, and filth. Walls trapped dampness and cold. Roofs leaked, rotted, and sagged over time. Windows were rare, tiny, or completely absent, designed more for defense than for light or air. Fresh air barely entered. Darkness and smoke dominated interior spaces. Homes became sealed environments where rot, disease, and suffocation thrived. One of the most persistent dangers inside a medieval home was fire. Open hearths burned continuously for cooking, heating, and light. In many homes, there were no chimneys at all, only a hole in the roof or a crude vent in the wall. Smoke filled the room, clinging to ceilings and walls. Families breathed it constantly, day after day, year after year. Eyes burned. Lungs weakened. Chronic coughing was common. Many people developed long-term respiratory illnesses that slowly destroyed their health. Fire itself was unpredictable and unforgiving. Sparks leapt from hearths. Embers rolled across straw-covered floors. Wooden beams dried out and cracked over time, becoming highly flammable. Clothing hung near fires to dry and ignited easily. People slept close to flames for warmth, especially during winter. Many were burned in their sleep or suffocated by smoke before they could escape. Entire households vanished overnight. Carbon monoxide poisoning was another silent and deadly threat. Without proper ventilation, toxic gases built up inside enclosed spaces. People grew dizzy, confused, and weak. They lay down to rest and never woke up. Families sometimes died together, found frozen in place around extinguished hearths. These deaths were blamed on fate, curses, or God's will. The true cause remained invisible and unknowable to them. Medieval homes were rarely occupied by humans alone. Animals shared the living space, especially during colder months. Chickens roosted indoors. Pigs slept near hearths. Goats, dogs, and cats moved freely through the house. Their waste accumulated on floors and in corners. Fleas, lice, mites, and ticks spread easily between animals and people. These parasites caused infections, fevers, and constant itching. More importantly, they carried deadly diseases. Plague-carrying fleas did not stop at the threshold. Food storage inside homes was another major source of danger. Grain, bread, cheese, and dried meat were stored in damp, dark conditions with no protection from pests. Rats and mice chewed through sacks, contaminating food with urine, droppings, and parasites. Mold grew silently on bread and grain. Some molds produced toxins that caused hallucinations, convulsions, organ failure, and death. People ate this food anyway. Hunger left no alternative. Meat preservation was unreliable. Salting, smoking, and drying were imperfect methods. Improperly preserved meat bred bacteria that caused severe food poisoning. Symptoms included violent vomiting, diarrhea, fever, and dehydration. Without medical treatment, many died within days. Survivors were left weakened and vulnerable to further illness. Water stored inside medieval homes was rarely safe. It sat in open buckets, barrels, or clay vessels, collecting dust, insects, and waste. Water drawn from wells or rivers was often contaminated before it even entered the house. Inside, it grew stagnant. Algae formed. Insects drowned. Drinking water slowly poisoned entire families over time. Medieval homes were ideal breeding grounds for disease. Damp walls encouraged mold growth that released spores into the air. These spores irritated lungs and weakened immune systems. Combined with smoke and poor ventilation, indoor air became toxic. People spent long winters indoors, breathing the same foul air for months without relief. Injuries inside the home were frequent and deadly. Sharp tools were stored openly. Knives, axes, needles, and farm tools caused accidents during daily tasks. Even a small cut could turn fatal. Without antiseptics or antibiotics, infections spread rapidly. Blood poisoning killed many who initially survived minor wounds. Falls were another constant risk. Floors were uneven. Boards were loose. Ladders replaced stairs. Poor lighting made navigation dangerous. Broken bones were common. Medical treatment was crude or non-existent. A fractured leg or arm could mean permanent disability, starvation, or death. Childbirth was among the most dangerous events inside a medieval home. Most women gave birth where they lived, without trained medical help. Unsanitary conditions caused deadly infections. Many mothers died within days. Newborns were immediately exposed to disease. Infant mortality was staggering. Infants faced extreme risks. They slept near fires, animals, and adults. Suffocation was common. Contaminated food and water caused fatal diarrhea. Cradles were rare. Babies died quietly and often. Candles and oil lamps provided light but added danger. They tipped easily, igniting fabrics and wood. Nighttime fires were especially deadly. People slept as their homes burned around them. Structural collapse posed constant threat. Poorly built roofs caved in under snow or rain. Beams snapped. Walls collapsed inward. People were crushed inside their own homes. Repairs were slow, materials cheap, and danger persistent. Disease spread rapidly within households. When one person fell ill, everyone followed. Beds were shared. Air was shared. Isolation was impossible. Death moved room to room. Mental strain worsened physical danger. Hunger, fear, grief, and exhaustion weakened bodies. Trauma accumulated. Stress lowered resistance to disease. Many died not from a single cause, but from everything combined. Winter was especially deadly. Cold seeped through walls. Fires burned constantly, increasing smoke exposure. Food ran out. People starved indoors. Some froze in their sleep. Even attempts at cleanliness carried risk. Bathing indoors was rare and dangerous due to fire hazards. Dirt accumulated. Skin infections spread. Lice infested clothing and bedding relentlessly. The medieval home was not a refuge. It concentrated danger. It trapped smoke, parasites, disease, and fear within its walls. It protected from weather, but not from death. Most medieval people did not die in battles or on roads. They died quietly, indoors, surrounded by family, by firelight, inside walls that failed them. To live in the Middle Ages was to accept that even rest was dangerous. Even sleep was uncertain. Even home could kill you. And every morning you woke up alive inside those walls was not comfort. It was survival.